We're back with the Screen Team on today's Talk 930 KWOC and 93.3 on the FM dial. The show is brought to you by Whitworth Gift Chest Jewelers, Poplar, Bluff Drywall, and 33 Productions. Our final film in our wrestling-themed show is a documentary called Beyond the Mat. And Kyle, this one was released about 15 years ago, and kind of we were talking about the wrestler in the past segment. This is kind of like the real life version of the wrestler almost, right?
Absolutely. It's this guy got backstage footage to get some insider information and just see how the inner workings of World Wrestling Federation work, to see what the independent wrestling circuit looked like, and also the underground wrestling promotion, Extreme Championship Wrestling, better known as ECW. Thank you. It's extremely gripping because he tells stories from several different perspectives about the independent promotions, how they do their shows, make their money. ECW, how it was the anti-wrestling organization, if you will, because they were very rebellious, anti-establishment. Just how things worked in the WWF. You see perspectives from Jake the Snake Roberts, Mick Foley, and if you're squeamish, a little bit faint of heart, there's a match that you'll see in this film with Mick Foley and The Rock that you may not want to watch. It's an I Quit match, and he takes tons of chair shots to the head. Bear in mind, with his wife and children sitting
little
inside.
Children. They're like 5 and 6 or something.
It was brutal.
I honestly think that the hardest part was not watching him get hit by a chair. It was watching his kids.
Watching those kids and her.
Wife.
I mean, it was as if he was literally getting beat up in the street, and she could do nothing about it, and neither could the kids.
Yeah.
It was extremely brutal. It's very telling and can be graphic at times, but I think it's very important that any wrestling fan or anyone just wanting to expand their knowledge of the wrestling product watch this. And it comes at the time where wrestling had its renaissance in the late 90s, which is an extremely important period in the history of professional wrestling because it got its a second wind, if you will. You get to see Vince McMahon in very rare form because he doesn't do a lot of public interviews or just anything on screen that doesn't involve his character. It's extremely good. I've always loved watching this, with the exception of that I Quit match, because I'm now to the point I don't think I could watch it. The craziest thing about that match, however, is that Mick still never said I quit. He lost the match, but they used a audio bit of him saying I quit in an interview and played it over the loudspeaker. How tough is someone to be able to deal with all that? And he actually told Dwayne Johnson backstage before the match, he said, "Hit me as hard as you can. Don't hold back." That's scary. You got to entertain the fans.
Well, there's that part where the person filming this goes and takes that tape to Mick's house, and he and his wife are sitting there watching it, and he said, "I'm not feeling like such a great parent right now."
No.
Yeah. And she said, "I don't know how much more of this we can do, But then at the same time, he's like, "I'm fine. I'm fine." And you see the footage of him when he was like 15 and he's jumping off the roof.
Yep.
So he's always kind of been a loose cannon, I suppose.
But you can definitely see the conflict. You can see that they love this so much that it's, all they want to do, but they also have these responsibilities and other people that they've got to care for and also include in their life. And you can see the struggle that these wrestlers go through.
It was very hard though to watch that because it's only coincidental he retired from being a steady wrestler 1 year later.
Did he really?
Yeah. So in a what's called a Hell in a Cell match, he got backdropped through the cage and it broke. And that was it. But one of the other aspects I really enjoyed was the coverage of ECW and their strive to put on their very first pay-per-view, which was called Barely Legal. And you get to see the owner of ECW, Paul Heyman, who's now a manager and one of the greatest managers that there ever is, giving a speech to his talent before this first pay-per-view, kind of like a preacher on a pulpit, and pumping them up, getting them ready for this show, and thanking a wrestler, God forbid, God bless this man, Terry Funk, who is almost 70 and still wrestling today, for helping put on this.
So he hasn't officially retired, even though it said it that he did.
He's had several retirement matches. As a former ECW wrestler, Tommy Dreamer, said, Terry Funk's retired until someone tells him he can't do it anymore. And then he gets an idea, and then he goes out there and does it, and still does it better than people half his age.
Or he stars in a movie with Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott.
Nice.
Which movie?
Roadhouse.
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 Keep the change. It's an outstanding documentary. There were other ones I had considered as well for this, and then I second guessed thought later, okay, maybe we should have done this one. And one I threw at you called Wrestling with Shadows with Bret Hart is one I highly recommend. But what were your thoughts on this?
I liked it, man. I liked the inside look of it. I probably enjoyed Jake the Snake's the most, but it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say. I enjoyed watching it with the subject matter that was was going on in the film, but that's the one that I guess I took to the most, and it's very hard to watch because it's like you said, a lot like The Wrestler. He's having an issue, a lot of issues with his daughter. They're kind of separated at the time, and he's just going through the whole minor league circuit of wrestling, and he's struggling.
He's addicted. He's homeless. He's estranged from his family.
Wrestling is all he has.
He's having a rough go of it.
And he was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year, finally. And his speech was, for those who've never seen it, please go watch it. I highly recommend. Where he said, "I hated wrestling for what it did to me. It took my father away from me." Because his name's Grizzly Smith, and he was a top star in the 70s, and he never got to see his dad. He grew up from a very, very rough upbringing, a lot of abuse of a sexual nature, just a lot of bad alcoholism. He said he started drinking at the age of 10. He said his only solace was ever in the ring. And then once again, highly recommend if you're ever going to watch a guy cut a promo, he is it.
Well, guys, I tell you what, man, you guys did a great job with picking these films, and I said we do it again sometime. What do you guys say? You guys down?
I'm ready to rumble.
Woo! Stacy and Kyle, thank you so much for being a part of the Screen Team this week, and thank you for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a brand new edition of the Screen Team. For Stacy, Kyle, and Chris, we're the Screen Team on today's Talk 930 KWOC.